Hello, all. Welcome to Rogue Gateway Rotary. I'm excited to welcome you all, and I would like to call up John Salisbury for the pledge and the four-way test. Did John forget to come? Any volunteers? Jody, please step right up.
One thing I do. All right, please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And of the things we think, say, and do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Jody. I want to mention also thank you to Lisa Higgins for being our greeter today. We still have lots of cards for sale if you're interested in buying any cards. And I'm going to invite Johnny Jones up for our inspiration before I share our guests and visiting Rotarians.
I'm going to inspire you by what inspired me, going back 75 to 80 years. I'm a little kid, raised with my grandparents because mom was a widow. They never spoke English in the home. They only spoke Italian. And I've got this little snack, and I'm going to go out with my buddies and play. And I said to my nana, I said, I don't want to go out until I finish this because they'll want some of it. If you have food, you share it. That was an important lesson in my life. My nana taught me to share. That was really impressive to me. Now, how many here are immigrants? How many here have parents that are immigrants? How many here have grandparents that are immigrants? I'm sure they have a story for you that has impacted your life. And here's another one. My first job in a grocery store, stocking shelves. The owner would put a case of groceries on the floor and he'd say, put it on the shelf. And I said, well, there's no room. He said, make room. And that taught me to get things done. And that made me, I like to blame him on the get her done attitude that I have in my life. Is he says, make room. What happened to you that you got a lesson that benefited your life? I'll just ask you to think about that.
Thank you, John. All right, so we'll have a few brief announcements from Valerie right after this. Thank you to Doug for running tech and our entire tech team. For visiting Rotarians, we have Dorian LaFlame. Where are you at? From the Wednesday Rotary Club. This was last week. All right. Well, we remember Dorian fondly. Is Joni LaRue here today? Okay, these are last week's, but we do have our non-Rotarian guests on the same list, which is why I'm repeating some of that. So we have Leo Friend, I believe, right there. Hi, Leo. We're glad you're here. Welcome. As well as Merlin. And they've been working with Doug on the construction project, which is awesome. We're really glad you're here to join us today. And our other two guests that are listed we're going to be celebrating here in just a moment. So I'm going to invite Valerie up for her few announcements. If we have other announcements, please check the navigator for them. And if we have some time at the end, we'll get a little bit of time in for that as well.
Just want a little bit more time with that microphone. Not done with it yet. So no, I do have a few announcements. First of all, Jam and Jelly. We are doing Jam and Jelly July. I brought one in today. Last week, I passed around an envelope. If anybody was interested in just putting money forward, I'm going down this weekend to talk with Roger Singer and get a deal from the from his store for jam and jelly. So if any of you did not contribute and still want to, you're willing to do that. So that's one thing, Jam and Jelly July. There are t-shirts up here if anybody still wants. Rotarians at work. I think we have 13 left. I think Mary told me, oh, 7 left is all. So if you want a t-shirt, they're $15. So they will be here and they'll be in the back, or you can talk to me about that. I just wanted to let you know a couple things coming up. July 23rd through 26th is Cruise the Rogue. It's where they do the big parade. I guess they used what they used to call it. It wasn't Cruise the Rogue. Anyway, it's coming back big, and they are expecting like 350 vehicles here from other parts of the country that are coming for this. They'll have the parade on that Saturday night. They're looking for volunteers because it's also like a poker run. They're just really looking to expand it. So if any of you are interested, you can go to the Chamber of Commerce. That's where they're looking to have people sign up. You'll get some special badge to get around and look at things. So let me know if you're at all interested in that. And that's July 23rd through 26th. Then August 20th, and this is my own personal, Children's Museum is having a fundraiser to get sponsors to put together the different, I don't know what they're calling. I know Dutch Brothers putting their own little drive-through up there. The women's clinic is sponsoring a teddy bear clinic. And so we're just looking, they've actually got them, and they're going to do an auction where they show you the different ways that you could contribute money to help them get it up and going. They'd like to have it open by next summer. So that's August 20th. And I think what I plan to do is buy a table, and I'm looking for 8 people or actually have another one. So 6 people who would be willing to do some sponsorship and attend as a Rotarian at the table. So let me know if you're at all interested, because I do think this is a big thing in our community to have that children's museum up and going, and it is moving along quite fast. And I'd still love to have the whole Rotarian Club do something down the road. But in the meantime, as they set up special places, I think it'd be fun for anybody who has a heart for Children's Museum to join and be at that. And Travis and Jenny, of course, will be there as well, Borsma. So that'll be a big event. There we go. I'm quickly being a disobedient Rotarian and giving this announcement now. There is a sign up being passed for our next social, which will be July 30th. It's going to start at my house at 5:30, and then Dawn Kogleiser, who came and talked to us about the Echo Recovery Trail, will meet us there. We'll have an hour of just socializing, and then we'll go walk the trail that she talked about. So please sign up. It'll be fun.
All right, I'd like to invite Valerie back up to introduce our Vocational Service Award recipient. Oh, wait, Kelly Moody. Sorry, I'm mixing it up. You're up next for our big program, but Kelly Moody, please come on down and introduce our winner.
One more time. Sorry about this. You're going to see me one more time too. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood what this was for. We have a vocational program, non-Rotarian, that exemplifies our high ethical standards for the 4-way test to an outstanding person in their vocational work who has shown through their commitment to community the qualities of service above self. So Kelly, take it away.
Well, I'm going to ask my husband to come up here too. Can't hear. Someone nudge him. The boy's teeth. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so if you want to combine St. Francis, Albert Schweitzer, and Dr. Doolittle, you get Margaret. She is levels above the normal person in terms of her care, her love, her devotion, her dedication to animals. And yes, I think she has a secret language too that she uses with them. but that's for her to tell you about. I thought, okay, what more can I say? Rogue Valley Humane Society, we're so honored to have her as our executive director there. And she's going to come up and get this award because she's so deserving of it and continues to amaze the valley with all that she does for our animals, which we all love. And David, my husband, volunteers out at the shelter, more in the garden, and he's developed a big garden out there, which he shares the produce with more than he realized. He shares it with the volunteers, the staff. He shares it beyond that with others, including us. And so I'm going to give it to him to tell you a quick little story. And Margaret, come on up, because you got to be part of this story. And yeah, you need it.
Well, about 3 years ago, I was volunteering at the hospital, and then COVID came along, and so I discontinued that. And I didn't know where to volunteer. And Kelly said, "Well, why don't you try the Humane Society out there? They might need someone." So I went out and I filled out an application, and I wrote down there that I'd like to garden. And so when I was called back in, I met Margaret, and she said, "Gardener, a gardener. I've got a garden." And so she showed me what they called a garden, but it looked like a wild field out there. So anyway, long story short, the last 3 years I've been working on that. Now it's a pretty beautiful garden with all the kinds of beautiful vegetables and all I get to share with St. Vincent de Paul, a lot of it there, and whatever Margaret needs. And so the other day, I brought in some zucchini for her, which she loves, and I do too. Zucchini has such a bad name. But anyway, so she said, "Oh, well, my dog likes the zucchini." I said, "What?" She said, "Oh, yeah, I'll show you." So she went into the freezer and took out a frozen zucchini. And I walked into the office, and there was a dog there that she's training. And she said, "Give it to him." So I gave it to him. He grabbed it, went off to his little enclosure and started eating zucchini. I thought, wow. So I brought a zucchini for you and for others today. Anyway, it's really fulfilled a lot for me volunteering out there. I'm out there by myself, and after teaching all those years with high school students, you know, it was nice to just work with vegetables and with animals. Anyway, so I'm really happy to be able to be a part of that, and I didn't expect to be here and go through this today, dear. I'll talk to you later about that.
No.
Oh, Margaret Ann Varner. Many of you don't realize this, but we share that name. I'm Margaret Ann also. And but nobody ever called me that. I was always Kelly. Margaret, we love you. We honor you. Our Rotary honors you. Thank you for all you do.
So much. Thank you so much. I have wonderful volunteers, and Dave, we won't tell that you're my favorite. I just won't. Thank you. Thanks.
Congratulations, Margaret. Thank you for your service. All right, up next, we have our official program. I'd like to invite Valerie Lovelace back on up here. Get up here to that microphone and introduce our amazing guest.
I'm kind of known for being a hog of the microphone, but anyway, yes, I'm almost done because next week I have the police chief coming as well. So I have had the honor of being on the city council and being very involved with the city in many ways. And one of the ways that really made me, when I finally was decided not to run again was that we finally had a fire chief that I knew was going to stick around, because we didn't have a fire chief for a long time, and our firefighters, bless their hearts, they're they were they were sad. They were trying so hard to be upbeat, and we kept going out for public safety measures because we knew our fire department was really hurting. We only had two people on the fire, and we had retired people that would come back for a while and leave. So when we finally were able to hire a fire chief, it was wonderful to find someone who was younger, not retired, and was going to stick around for a while. And he came clear from the East Coast. If I'm correct, he started at 16. He's been public service all of his life. 16, he started as a lifeguard in Florida. Is that right? Yes. So he started off in Florida for a long time, and that's where he got a lot of his training. And didn't you go somewhere in the middle of the United States before you came out to Oregon? Yes. So then he came out to Northern Oregon. He was up by Portland, east of Portland on the Columbia River. And so then we hired him down here. So without further ado, I'm going to say this is Jimmy Sanchez. He is our fire chief, and we are very lucky to have him. So
thank you. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate this, and the food and just the time, and what you guys do for this community is amazing. So I really do appreciate that. Yes, you are correct. I was swimming for a time. I enjoyed that as a lifeguard in public service. I am second generation. My dad also retired as a division chief down there on the East Coast in Fort Lauderdale area, if you guys know where that is in South Florida. But since then, I came out here to Oregon almost 5 years ago, which is crazy. It feels like yesterday. I did have more hair when I started, so just I'm getting more streamlined, is what I like to say, more aerodynamic. And then since then, the Lord has brought me here to Grants Pass Fire Rescue with my wife and 3 beautiful kids, she's now the children's ministry director at Rogue Valley Church, which is amazing. With that said, though, we are here to stay, and I love that you said that. Here to stay, planting roots. She's involved over in the church. We love this community. We love this fire department. This fire department is awesome. And I want to say that not just because I'm here. Even if I wasn't in this uniform and I was just talking to you as a firefighter who's been around, I really need to tell you something from the bottom of my heart. This is a special group of people. The fire department that we have here, and I'm telling you this, God is my witness, is a special group. They do stuff with the community that doesn't even come out of the city's pocket, out of the taxpayers' pocket. And I love to highlight this. I showed up, and I'm the new fire chief, and one of my biggest responsibilities is the budget, right? And I'm supposed to watch every dollar and everything. And then I see them handing out gift cards on a scene, and I'm like, oh boy, I'm gonna be in trouble for this, because who are we giving it to? The receipts. There's all kinds of ORS laws and stuff. I have to follow this. They're handing out gift cards on a scene of a fire that just occurred. So of course I go over there and I'm like, hey guys, what are we doing? Because I'm going to be in big trouble. We're giving out taxpayer funding here, and this isn't approved. And they have a separate pool, and I have not seen this before, and I've been around, and I'm coming from East Coast out here. They have a separate pool of money that they collect with their benevolent fund and stuff. So when you get in a fire, a structure fire here, or a bad thing happens to you, a big car accident or anything, they give you a $100 gift card, and they take you to Walmart, and they have relationships with some of the hotels around here to where you will get put up in a hotel for a couple nights until you're situated when you lose everything or when something bad is going on. And that is just the kind of heart that this group has, the culture that this group has. And I want to highlight that, because when I say that's incredibly rare, I cannot overstate that. So I wanted to start with that and say that this community truly is really special. And thank you for allowing me to be here, because this is a whole thing. This is not just me. And I love what you said, like they were looking for a fire chief, but our team as a whole, it's all of us. It's not just me. It's not just one firefighter. It's that group. It's that culture that makes all of this work. So thank you for that. And I know we're going through this. At the end, I'm going to do Q&A. You guys can ask whatever you'd like. I promise I don't get shy, so go ahead and shoot at the end, but I'll kind of run you through a little bit of Grants Pass Fire Rescue. Is that what everybody would like? What's been happening the last 2 years? Yes? So I've been here for 2 years, coming up on 2 years in September. The council and everybody partnered with me, city manager Aaron, and I was honored to get this job. We started. There was a kind of rudderless, because since October of 2021, when we separated from DPS, Department of Public Safety, When we were under Warren, Warren is fantastic, by the way, our police chief. When we were under Warren, there really was no fire chief. Like she said, there was no head, no direction, no voice for them. They had a voice collectively, but no one that would go to the council meetings and do that on a regular basis. So I met with everybody one-on-one, and we came up with a list, essentially. That's the simple terms of a list of what do we need, what's really missing, what are the biggest points, the biggest hurdles, the things that we need to accomplish. And I'm proud to say with that and partnering with the city council and I have to give our past, I want to call you counselor, but I can't call you counselor, or I can, right? I just say counselor, right? I'm used to calling you counselor, but with the Public Safety Advisory Committee, which is your fault, I will blame that on you, but it was a good thing too, with partnering with the community in that, we were able to add an additional 6 firefighters for the first time since 2007. That increases our level of service by a lot. That is a really, really big deal. Now, let me tell you why that's a really, really big deal. That is one of the things I'm most proud of that we did together as a team. And again, not just me, city council, partnership with the community, because that's a big investment. We were riding, as I love that you mentioned that, we would respond, you'd dial 911, you'd get 2 firefighters that would show up on a call on an engine. While that is great, that is not optimal. 4 is the best practice, which is what they're practicing down in Medford, just around the corner as well. But 3 allows you to do a lot more. As of today, we have on 9 times out of 10, when God forbid no one's sick and anything bad's going on, you have 3 people that show up on scene at a minimum on a fire engine now. And let me explain to you why that's important. When you showed up on a fire before, or an EMS call before, which 70% of our calls are EMS, right? When you show up on an EMS call, you only have 2 guys. There's a lot to do really fast. Now you have 3, and that also frees up another engine. That also frees up another engine to respond to another call. Because if it was a serious call and we're working a code, we're doing CPR. Everybody starts staying alive, staying alive. That's the best singing I can do. Don't expect any more. The CPR that we're doing requires at least 4 people. So we would have to take 2 engines out of service to service 1 call, which removed us from the level of service for the whole city. So now we can only send 1 engine and a battalion chief for that call, and we have all the hands we need to handle that emergency. That is a really big increase in level of service here in the city of Grants Pass, and that's through that partnership. And through that investment from the city and the recent budget that just passed that began on July 1st. So now, again, a perfect example going to the fire side. How many of you saw the West Jones Creek fire? Did everybody see that? Everybody heard about it, right? Yeah. You live next to it. So I was the one that sent the level 3 evacuation. So you can blame me. It was absolutely necessary, which was good. I'd rather you be gone and than hurt. Yes. So that increase in staffing, perfect example. In order to fight the wildfire here, especially in our WUI area, our wildland urban interface, say that 5 times fast, right around that border, to fight that, you need an overwhelming force fast, because you guys know, you can look out, you guys, I'm sure everybody's been watching the weather, especially this year. It's dry and the fires are spreading quick. We were able to throw a lot of people on it really fast. Not only that, because of the extra staffing that we had, normally when we did that last year, before we had the extra staffing, that means the city was empty. The city was empty. Now, granted, I would consider that's our first response zone. So we responded based on the closest available unit. We were there first. We were incident command. We ran that fire. But when we would have to throw all that overwhelming force on it and go to a second, third alarm, which is what we did, and we had to call for help from Jackson County, the city, we would be pending calls. We had an entire response with everybody over there, and then we also were able to backfill our entire city with our extra employees. So that level of service and that overall public safety has increased 100-fold just from adding those 6, which is a huge, huge accomplishment for the entire city and our team. And thank you guys for your partnership and supporting us in that. So in that 2 years, we've increased that personnel, which is one of the biggest things. We've increased our EMS response treatment capabilities. Before, I don't know if you guys knew this. You guys have called 911 here before, heard about it, right? When you call 911, sometimes what's not available in this city? The ambulances, right? Guess who shows up every time? We do, and we will be there. Now, there was some gaps when I started, and not nobody's fault. There was just some gaps that we got to add to and increase our level of service, increase our treatment capabilities. When I started with medications, with protocols, all that has been since rectified. We're waiting on one more thing. Now, when we show up, the only thing we cannot do is transport because the law won't allow us. Everything else we can do just the same as AMR. We have the same protocols, the same training, paramedics. So when our firefighters show up on scene, we're able to do the full book of the protocols with the same amount of drugs, the same amount of treatments, and we're getting brand new life packs as well. We still have ones that are they're still within date, life pack 15s, but we're getting a brand new set, the latest technology coming because that just got approved in our capital budget. So that is a big, big win for the entire city. We updated AEDs throughout the city too. We got 24 new ones. I don't know if you guys know, some of them were out of date within the last 2 years. A lot of them, some of them were like 10 years plus old. Batteries were bad. So we have new ones. AEDs, the ones, so when you go to the parks, and automated external defibrillator. So when you go to the parks and you see around or our public places, there's a new AED on the wall, a white one. The awesome thing about those two is those, when they go off, if you open them, it sends us to our EMS people an email. And if you shock somebody, it sends us the actual data, what the rhythm was beforehand, and we can share that with the hospital. So, and that's an improvement over our city too. And it's going with our police, it's going in some of the parks, and it's going with all of our other, some of our other units that carry them too. So that technology, there's no longer this, hey, what was it beforehand? And the person goes, I don't know. We can share that with the doctor, whether it was a 3rd-degree block, a certain type of heart condition, or if it was a fast rhythm SVT or something, we'll know beforehand. If it's shocking, if it was just VFib, and we'll be able to share that information all the way up to the hospital, which is really awesome. So going through that for the last 2 years, those are the big things. Fire prevention and inspection, we've increased that. I don't know if, did you guys hear one of the biggest things that I'm excited about is our ISO rating? Has anybody heard me talk about that? Our insurance services organization. So we are currently a class 2. It is a rating. It's a national rating. There's over 45,000 fire departments in the United States. Career, there's more than that if you include volunteer, but career that are rated under this. Now, Brad Beer asked a great question during the budget meetings too, and I want to make sure that this point is made clear too. Your insurance company might tell you in this city that they don't honor ISO. It's pretty funny. It actually makes me laugh when they say that, because that requires that they have to pay into ISO to go by the standards. Well, but the insurance company, how many of you have insurance on your house, right? How many of you has your insurance called and said, hey, how far is the fire hydrant? Right? How far is the fire station? How many people? Everybody's gotten those questions, right? So ISO is that standard, is that certificate, but the insurance company that doesn't want to pay for that certificate still goes by that same exact standard. So they like to tell you, we don't honor ISO. Yes, you do. You go get the measurements for where the fire hydrant is. You want to know how much flow is coming out of that fire hydrant. You want to know if they have a ladder truck. You want to know if 14 people are going to show up within 4.5 minutes when your house catches on fire. That is the standard that we are at. We're at a level 2. We're an ISO class 2 right now. In 2027, we are on track to be a class 1, which would put us in the top 500 fire departments in the United States. So, which is a really big deal. Thank you. And that is a team effort. With that, we've increased our training 325% in the last 2 years. So we had about 2,000 hours before. A lot of that was because it wasn't getting documented properly. Our guys are awesome. They've been training. We went to over 8,300 hours last year in training, which is all part of it. We have our seasonal workers out right now. If some of you have probably seen, we've been out there flowing hydrants. I don't know if anybody's been affected by that. That is required because we need to know the flow rates and we need to make sure that they work. We've actually found a lot of deficient ones and we've fixed them already, which is awesome. But that all goes into that ISO rating, because I know fire insurance is such a pain in this state ever since that map that came out and then got repealed. Everybody knows about that map, I'm sure, right? So this is going to help us. So if your insurance company says, I don't honor ISO, you can laugh at them and say, well, all right, what's the next question? Where's the fire hydrant? How many people are at the fire station, right? Do you have a ladder truck? And then they call us too, and they get that information from us. So it's the same thing. Guess what else Oregon does not have currently? Oregon does not have a class 1 fire department. We are going to be the first class 1 fire department in the state of Oregon, and I'm so excited about that. Yeah. And I say that hoping nobody beats me to it because I'm running to it. But we currently do not have a class 1. I've called them. We are going to be the first class 1 fire department. That is my goal. 2027, I'm calling for a review, and we are on track. Our hydrant program, our water program. Nice thing about Jason Kennedy, I got to give him credit. Been doing such a great job over so many years setting up our water system here. We really do have a amazing water system here. And that is a huge part of our scoring too. And us being able to show up and hook up to a hydrant and get 1,500 gallons plus a minute, which is a blue cap hydrant, it's a rating, is an awesome thing. So make sure you tell your insurance companies that too if you ever talk to them. Be like, hey, go find me other places that I can get 1,500 gallons a minute at as soon as I show up. That is a majority of our city, so it's a big win. Any questions on that before I move on with the insurance? Yes. Oh, yeah.
One of the things in the big fire that happened over in Ashland, and my husband is very aware of such things, is that the hydrants stopped working because the water pressure collapsed. Do we have something to stop that from happening? Because I think that's something people don't realize, that once they were not able to turn off the water. And so what ended up happening is that just water ran out and then they didn't have the pressure. You know anything about that?
So one of the nice things about our system is a majority of our city, a lot of our city is looped. So meaning if it's coming from one direction, there's a route. So if I screw up a pipe over here, we can kill it and it'll come from another direction. There's some areas that don't have that. The other nice thing that Jason and his team has done is there's a lot of reservoirs. I know you guys have seen a lot of the reservoirs that are being built up around here that are holding water. They actually have water in them. Can I say that? They actually have water in them if anybody's been following past years. Some of them, they're not just empty. They carry water. So there is a path to that. There's also, we get our water out of the Rogue, right? Out of the Rogue River. So we don't just we have redundancy, which is required, but it's also important for us to know this. We don't just have one pump pulling from the Rogue River. We can turn on 3 during high peak demands. We live off of 1 basically, but there's 2 more that are in the same hole that we can turn on and increase it, which is amazing. And that all keeps us a lot safer than everybody else. So that's a great job, but great question. Great question. So we've covered EMS, an increase on that. We've covered because we're filling the gap. Nothing against AMR. I'm not picking on them. It's a private company in a public safety, right? Government, very different operational. One's for profit, one's not. So we're filling that gap for the 1,208 medic zeros that happened last year. You called 911 last year and 1,208 times medic zero, meaning no ambulance was available. That is a current stat. So we're showing up and we're able to treat people like never before with everything and within our protocols. Under Dr. Worsel is our medical director out of Asante, which is fantastic. Our firefighters increase, made a big stop over there in the West Jones Creek fire. The relative humidity that day was around 11%. It was 4:30 in the afternoon. You guys know what that means? That means everything lights easily. If I sneezed wrong, I could have lit that grass on fire. Or if the sun reflected off my head just the right angle, I definitely could have done it. So we went from 0 to 17 acres in about 40 minutes. We had 2 Type 1 helicopters on it, ODF, Royal Fire, Rural Metro. And then we called for a Type 2, a task force out of Jackson County. There's over 60 people on there within the first 30 minutes. We were able to do a level 3 evacuation because that fire was running with the wind. That's why we had to do that evacuation within 15 minutes of being on scene. So with that and all that stuff was saved, no structure was lost, a shed, no house, no residential structure was lost. And that is a big win. That's because of the personnel that we have and the relationships we have in this county and both counties. We have Rogue Valley Fire Chiefs Association. We meet once a month. Every month we have standing protocols. So if I call for help, for instance, or any of my battalion chiefs call for help, we're going to get help. And vice versa, we go back. So we're able to get those 60 people on scene like that. And we did, and that was one of the reasons why that fire stayed in the footprint that we were able to keep it in. It was a really big deal. So other thing, expansion and inspections. So I don't know if some of you are business owners in here, but if you are, our firefighters are out on their engines a lot more now. We're doing just standard inspections. That's part of our ISO rating. They're coming in, saved, is the exit light on? Is there stuff blocking your exits? This is a friendly thing. I don't want anybody freaking out about it and stuff. We have a follow-up process to get everybody in line with it. But it also increases public safety as well as firefighter safety because now they walk every building that they could possibly respond to. So God forbid if it does catch on fire in the future, they have a mental map. It's also in our database. When you show up, when the call comes up, it comes up on our data, our CAD data, because we enter it, and they know exactly the floor plan, the layout, possible hazards. If there's a propane tank here, if it's a grow house and stuff growing in the back, all of that information is very valuable to us if there's volatile chemicals. So that has increased tenfold. We were doing that before. It stopped actually since COVID because COVID stopped it. Now every shift inspects. They have an inspection list of 30 each a month that they have to go through with our businesses. And the way that works out, that goes through all of our businesses in the city now. On top of our prevention program with Michael Meyer, I'm sure you and my deputy chief Hyatt as well. I've seen them running around. They're great. So we've increased that tenfold, which is awesome. Any other questions on that? Yes.
There's a growing habit around town of not watering their lawn,
Mhm.
which is okay, except there's also a growing habit of letting the grass get this tall, which is a fire hazard. Is there anything going to be done about it?
So from the fire hazard standpoint of there's code within the municipal code, there is some stuff to when it hits a certain height that we can go out there. But that comes from code enforcement. So your CSOs and your police can go out there and do that. But I do not have I have the authority to make it known. I do not have finding or compliance authority. Does that make sense? So I can go after, I can refer it to police, but just like when I call an evacuation, I have to have the sheriff do it. The sheriff has the ultimate law. Once he's going to say yes, but when I call an evacuation, it gets checked. Same thing with that. That is something we're doing now. You brought me to the next thing, which is awesome. We just got a grant which applies directly to that through the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office that was dropped because of things that happened within the county years ago. We have $300,000. July 18th is our first event, the knock and talk that you can sign up for defensible space. So we are going out there with this money, and we're able to go to your house. When you signed up, it was a first come, first served basis until the money is exhausted. We're going to start spending it on Saturday, July 18th, not next weekend. And what we're focusing on is that 5-foot space around your house, or things around your house like 6 foot up on a tree, so all the limbs aren't down. So if a fire runs through on a shallow grass fire, it shouldn't run all the way up your tree. Focusing on if your fence goes up to your wall and it's a wooden fence, maybe put some flashing around it. The 1/8-inch meshing for the openings in your house. All that stuff we can provide through that grant. Our team can come out and provide that. We can talk to you about your plants too, because everybody loves an arborvitae, right? They're green, but they burn hot and fast, even bright green. Did you guys know that? And they put them all up against their house because they're really good for privacy, right? You don't want to see your neighbors, but they light on fire easily. But we have a program too where we can give you up to $250 gift card, or a gift card for that to go replace some of those plants with something else that you like. And then that program with the QR code, we tell you about the fire resistant plants that are still pretty as an option. Now we're going to show up and we're not going to be like, hey, you're bad, you need to do all of this. We're going to work with you. So we don't want anybody to freak out and get scared in that moment, like, hey, he's going to come in, he's going to find me. No, we're going to work with you to see if all we can do is help clear up your lawn a little bit with a licensed company, landscaping company or contractor that can clean your gutters. That's all part of that defensible space in CWRR. And it's through the State Fire Marshal's Office.
I did that. God, it's fabulous.
Was he?
Mm-hmm. One thing left to do, and so my house, the fire,
Mm-hmm. The defensible space, yes. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. Our team's going to be out doing it starting on Saturday. Yes. And then we're going to be scheduling it. We have a list of people that have already signed up. You can go to fire defense at grantspassoregon.gov, and you can send an email to that, and you can also sign up. Yes.
Along that same line with defensible space, some of this building code requires a certain level of vegetation and bark and things like that. And
yes.
It's been a struggle. Have you had some input on that, or is that starting to shift recently where they allow you to put in some xeriscape and things like that?
I have not. I'm sorry. We're
just not working.
Next question, I'll bring it to the person.
Okay.
You're on.
I'm on? Okay. So I am involved with some of those meetings, but in terms of the code and changing municipal code, that rests with the council. So do they ask me about defensible space and fire? Yes, and we have our input and we advise them. But in terms of do I just change it or no? Mhm.
I wondered, has that started to have you started to have conversations with staff about modifying some of code?
Oh, we have conversations all the time when it comes to OFC, Oregon Fire Code. Yes. It is involved in all of our conversations from plans and review to all of Jason's conversations for land, water lines to sewage. Yes, it's one of the great things about this team is our X team meetings is everybody is in there once a week and inputs heard from everybody all around the table. So great question.
Oh, you're good?
I can walk too.
Hi. Whoa, this is hot. So we live really close to Rancho Vista. And so like it was a football field away from us, maybe. My question is, that's not city limits, that's county. So what you're just discussing right now, can you come out in county? Or like last year I had ODF come out, but and they were the one that did an inspection at our house. But are the benefits that you're discussing only for within city limits residents?
So that's a great question. So the state fire marshal's office gave us this grant, and within that is I can stay just on that WUI border. So if you're within the WUI border, within the parameters of the grant, and the WUI border meaning grants past city line and just close to it, because we consider that as the way the grant's written, a threat to the city, right? To mitigate that. So if you're within that, then yes, that's possible. If you're really far outside of it, then no, we wouldn't be within the grant parameters. Then fire defense at grantspassoregon.gov. Send us an email. Yes. Any other questions? I have no problem walking. I need to walk too, and I'm behind the desk now, so.
If you're knocking on a door and a renter answers, do you contact the landlord at that point or the homeowner?
That is a great question. Yes, we will have to be dealing with the owner. So if the renter says that, yes, they would like this done, we still have to get signed off from the property owner. Yes.
Hi. So we had somebody as a presenter from Firewise. Is that right? Okay. And then we had him come out. You could make appointments, and he came out to our house to do the defensible space. And because that was during a time when everyone was shivering about what was going to happen to their insurance. And so we worked with him, and everything was great, except working on what Johnny said. Our neighbor right next door to us has, I mean, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. There are weeds that are like this tall, and and so this Firewise guy said, "There's your problem," and so we tried to work with the neighbor, and the neighbor said, and I quote, "I like them." So we were kind of at a standstill on that. So we ended up getting a hold of the police, and they ended up putting a lien on them or something. I can't remember, some weird thing. Well, the next year, this year, the weeds are, So how do we deal with it?
It sounds like you gonna get a hold of the police again. I wish there was more I could do with that other than we work with the code and stuff within the city, but there isn't anything where I can show up and I can't cite you, I can't fine you. That is not my purview, unfortunately. But we work with the code and establishing the code in the city, and the council has to approve it. The city, you guys go out and they vote and make your voices heard. And she knows this better than anybody here. And then once the council approves that muni code, then that is something that's enforceable under our police department and our code enforcement. Anybody else? Yes.
So I had a couple of things. I live in the northwest part of town, and there are those two giant water containment tanks over there off of Highland. How do they work? Do they feed our fire hydrants? How do you access that water? I had another question though. So I have a winter lawn in a I do try to keep it green in the back. I don't have lawn in the front. And I was a little concerned about mowing it a couple of weeks ago, and I looked up the code and it said to not mow or weed eat after a certain time in the morning. And well, so how do you keep, I have neighbors who apparently don't read the code, and I worry about fires. So those are two questions.
Okay, so first, water reservoir. How do we have access to it? So it's automatically tapped in. It's not, I don't have to go flip a switch or anything. Also, if there's a fire in the city, we notify the water department if we're going to be flowing a lot of water, and they will basically, in layman's terms, flip some switches for us and dump water that way. So they know, they're very involved with us when it comes to that, the system. And there's water pumps out in those other areas, and then that's why the reservoirs is there as well. So that is how the water gets there. It's not like I have to send a team up there to turn it on or open a valve or anything. It's automated. So they take care of that for us, which is one of the great things about our water system. The second part, same thing. You can notify code enforcement. You can notify PD and let them know. ODF actually has citation power if you are in county lands. The Oregon Department of Forestry, under the governor, the way that they set it up, has the citation power to cite people that are not following within the level of risk that we're at. So if they're mowing the lawn after 10 a.m. and they're within the county, ODF has that citation power, that enforcement power for it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, but we can notify them. And then some of the things we can send our fire marshal out for as well. But it's not one of those things where it's our code enforcement and our police that are able to enforce it here in the way that the city's set up. Yes, you can do the non-emergency number and register it. Anybody else?
Just two things. One, if you could repeat that email address one more time. And then also just a thank you for all that you do. Me and my husband and our two kids, 10 and 11, we were actually at Universal Studios Hollywood. And at 4:49 on June 15th, we got a level 3 evacuation for our house. And there was literally nothing we could do except my daughters were like, well, that's what Grants Pass Fire is going to do. They're going to do a great job. And they did. And within a couple of hours, we got the downgrade. And it was just nice knowing that all the hard work that you and the men and women serving did to protect our community. So thank you.
Thank you. That is the team. I want to make sure that's my big thing. It was the team and everything that they did together. I'm done, right? We're good? Yes? Okay. I appreciate being here. Thank you guys for this time. I really appreciate you guys' involvement in the community too. And if I'll stay around and hang if there's any other questions I can answer before I head out. So thank you. Oh, fire defense at grantspassoregon.gov. I'm not responsible for the ending. grantspassoregon.gov. Fire defense. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chief. All right, I would like to invite, I believe, Greg Smith up for our Sergeant at Arms. It is not. It is Jolene. My information is inaccurate. Welcome, Jolene. I checked. I just checked my references, and they were wrong. Thank you.
Okay, well, everyone knows I'm a foodie, and everyone knows when I'm up here, I usually talk about food. So I'm only make one comment. Whoever had chocolate chip cookies today, shame, 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 because today is National Sugar Cookie Day. Should have been sugar cookies, but hey. What can I say? So I have a couple things here, and they're just kind of funny things that I found a couple weeks ago. And a lot of you guys, because of our age, will remember some of these things. And it's called, this is entitled, Me Behave Seriously? As a child, get out of here. I got stuff on my thing. As a child, I saw Tarzan almost naked. Cinderella arrived home after midnight. Pinocchio told lies. Aladdin was a thief. Batman drove over 200 miles an hour. Snow White lived in a house with 7 men. Popeye smoked a pipe and had tattoos. Pac-Man ran around to digital music while eating pills that enhanced his performance. And Shaggy and Scooby were mystery-solving hippies that always had the munchies. And I'm sure most of us remember those characters. And now for the fun. How many people out there just do not like to cook? Okay, now you guys all know that I love to cook. So this is called me versus cooking. I walked into the kitchen feeling like a chef. I walked out ordering takeout. My recipe said easy. It clearly meant good luck. I don't burn food. I add extra personality. Every meal I cook comes with a surprise. This one is my favorite. I plan to make dinner. The smoke alarm wanted to roll too. My favorite cooking ingredient is hope. I don't measure spices. I let destiny season the meal. Still figuring out life, one questionable recipe at a time. Okay, and it is card time, I believe. Oh, excuse me, happy bucks. Okay, I can run around this time because heaven only knows I need the exercise.
Well, I know I told you a few weeks back that I'm going to be a first-time grandma in November, but the really even better part is that Megan and Christian are moving back to Grants Pass. They've got an offer on their home. I'm going back on the 21st through the 27th to help them pack, and they will be back home.
Hi, friends. We just finished having the American Exchange Project students here. We had 20 individuals here from across the nation. And I wrote down as they were doing their closing circle, some of the things that they noticed with their fresh eyes, as well as things that our own students said. Valerie, I know you were there also. Downtown is beautiful. It was older and more nostalgic than I expected. They noticed our nice rivers, how many blue herons there were, and they noticed how many people showed up to community events. And that was actually a local student who noticed that, and they were very surprised. They said the river's more fun when you can dunk everyone. One of our local students said, I realized how much I'm going to miss home. So we were just so lucky. So I'd love to give 20 happy bucks for them.
Good afternoon. I want to give 10 happy bucks. I have a couple of you know maybe that I resigned my position at Rogue Community College, and now I have been at Southern Oregon Friends of Hospice as their development director for 30 days. So I'm super excited. It's a wonderful organization, and I'm just really glad for the move.
Hey, everybody. This is actually a nice surprise because we have Merlin and Leo here too, but I have 20 happy bucks for Doug for an incredible job he did with our construction trades fundamental class and the immense work of moving this fantastic shed that these students built. And then also volunteers like Tackett who showed up and made this a really great experience. And I love it because as somebody who just got to drop in and see what was happening, it was really cool every day to see who was doing what and what was getting done and the learning that was being done. But also for you two, I know you two are here today, but the whole cohort, I just think you guys showed up in the best way, and I had a lot of fun watching you guys learn. So I appreciate all of you.
So I'm going to tag on to that. So we've spent the last 2 days, Merlin and Leo and I, and then also Bruce, who's a Friday Rotary Club member, trying to get the shed that's been built ready and then loaded on a trailer. And well, we've decided to follow the good advice of my wife and hire somebody to do it because it's not working for us. So Julie, you're paying to have that thing hauled somewhere, right? Okay. But also same thing. I had an incredibly great time with the 14 students, and it's really been fantastic. And hopefully we can do more in the future. And I'm thrilled about it.
Well, I know less about this thing than you two, but I do have one question because typically people build buildings like and leave them there, like where they're going to go. Is this, yeah, maybe next time that would be a a thought.
I just wanted to tag on what Susan said, because I had the honor as well of hosting the American Exchange, and it is a wonderful program. And one more thing that they said, these were the kids from out of town that over and over again, they said, wow, you really have an amazing community. That was over and over again, that they sensed the community that Grants Pass has and who showed up for things. And yeah, it was great. And they all went away just like in awe of what we have here in our community. So it was pretty awesome.
I have not been in a public school in many decades. I tried teaching and realized that dealing with other people's children was not for me. And I want to give a hand to these two young men and the other 12 that were there in that program. I think they learned a lot. There was a lot of smiling, but for me, it was actually fun dealing with that age again and not feeling like I needed to run away screaming. So, thank you.
Okay. I just want to say, you know, we really do have a great community. And when we got the code 3 get out of our house order, and we were actually in our trailer on the coast camping, I got so many calls from people in this community within an hour after that evac was noticed that was telling me, come to our house, you can stay at our house, please. I says, we're okay, we're on the coast, we're okay. And I even had one doctor call me, I'm not going to mention his name, and he's a retired physician in town, and he actually was in tears crying, Jolene, are you okay? Are you okay? What can I do to help? And I said, hey, you know what? We're fine. We're on the coast camping. It's no big deal. And I says, when we get home, if our house is still there, God's given us our home, it's okay. If God says, take it away, we'll figure it out. So it's just kind of great that there's so many people within this community that are willing to give a hand up and help. And that was great.
Thank you, Jillian. The 8 of Hearts was chosen by our chief. Any winners? Yay, Tommy Drake's our winner. It's our 50-50 drawing. The 50 goes to Polio Plus and 50% goes to our winner. And I counted the cards and we had 53 cards. So I actually dug through and found the double. Sorry to those of you who had 2 chances at winning. All right. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you guys for being here. Doug, we should talk. I have so many free sheds at home because nobody knows how to move them. And it's not easy. Also, thank you to our vocational award winner. Thank you so much for the service you do to our community. I just really enjoyed today's presentation. And so my thought for the day, it's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Finish each day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. You shall begin it serenely and with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense. Which takes me to one of my favorite quotes by Anne Frank. How wonderful it is that nobody's needs to wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. And thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful day. I believe our chief will be here for some questions for a little while if you'd like to talk with him. And I'll see you all next week.